Hello, all, and thanks so much for stopping by. Today, we're going to review Starfield as it is in the early August 2025. So with all the updates and official add ons, no Creation Club here. I didn't rate Creation Club, but I will say that I am very ambivalent about Creation Club. Anyway, we're not here for that. Where am I coming from? I'm not the kind of person that plays every game, like I work for some IGN or something. I won't rate some games, but as far as Starfield and Bethesda games, well, Bethesda, I'm a huge fan. Huge fan of large open world games that you can explore. Love exploring. Love first person, where it makes it very immersive. Love the environments. Fallout 3, just love that. As far as the Fallout series too, I just love their cheekiness, the cheekiness of the Fallout series. I also love Cyberpunk. That's not Bethesda, but I love those type of games. So that's what we're going off of here. I already have a bias toward this type of game. Also, it goes the other way when you don't think it's great. More negative about it. But anyway, I also loved Prey. Prey was published by Bethesda. Just an awesome game. Not quite the same. Um, just very good in just so many ways. Yet, Prey sort of tanked, right? Like you had this main reviewer online, recently putting out a review of Prey, and they go, I didn't do this when it came out because I didn't even know about it. It's crazy. And why? Because of the marketing, supposedly. So, for that person not to know that Prey existed when it came out, I'd say the marketing was pretty bad. And I wanted to say that last because I want to get into the first thing I'm reviewing, and that's marketing, which may sound weird, but as far as Bethesda goes, they usually do an awesome job of marketing, right? I think with some of the games, with their fan base, they don't need to market much. But when it comes to the Fallout series, they are just like the gold standard, right? They make these films. They're like super excellent. They're, I don't know, they draw you in. They're poignant. They make you feel like you're part of the game. You have a vested interest in the game before you even play. You know, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can look at Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 um, trailers, and the cinematic thing, like the opening for Fallout 3, is just excellent. And the Fallout 76 and Fallout 4 trailers, and I don't know, the black and white one I think is in the game as well as an intro. I mean, super excellent, and just everything is great. So anyway, so it gets you all like emotionally involved in the game. It gets you to also know a lot about the game before you start. Okay, so it occurred to me that one of the reasons I think Starfield hasn't done as well is because they didn't do anything like that for Starfield, which is just kind of shocking when you think about it, because they have all this material to work with Starfield. I mean, the Earth gets destroyed. I mean, you can't get more dramatic than that. With all the people that must have been left and died, and all the animals, and it's just like a big piece of sand now. So, I mean, there's all kinds of cinematic things they could have done with that. Besides the other wars they talk about with the mechs, and what do they call the other things? Xenobiology, the nasty animals they used in the wars for a little bit there. So they just have no shortage of things to go on to make really dramatic and poignant cinematics, trailers, whatever you want to call it, things that are intros to the game. And they didn't do that. And you just don't have it's like the game doesn't seem to have a soul, and I think that's part of it. Fallout seems to have a soul, and it's partly because you are so drawn in with their marketing the way they do it. So, as far as a grade, okay, yeah, so I'm giving marketing a grade of F. It's just wild. They had to have purposely made decisions not to do some wonderful cinematic and different things with all that material they have in Starfield. Weird. Okay, so now I'm going to do the main story, by which I mean what you're pursuing in the game. And that to me was a big letdown. I was very surprised because they tease that you're going to find a lot of answers to big questions, and I'm going to talk about that more in a couple minutes. And you realize you get none, basically. And after you go through the Unity to, I guess, give a little spoiler here, maybe you can go through it yourself. You find out that there's been inconsistencies, there's contradictions, and you actually have more questions because you realize, if you think about it, there's things that the Starborn do that you can't do, and things. I won't get into it too much, but I'm giving it two different grades. The main story for this outcome and the incoherence of the story, I'm giving also an F for that. But there are some very neat quests involved with the main story. Very nice. And if you replay the game and you don't do the main story, you miss out on these. And I just think that's ridiculous. One is about a pocket universe, and the other involves the NASA ruins. And so I'm giving those an A. Now, to me, Starfield is more like that the main story is just like a farming thing, farming for artifacts mostly, and all the other action takes place in all the other side quests. And Starfield is made up of a bunch of big side quest stories that have to do with each location, in like Sidonia, Aquila City, Neon. The new one they added, of course, and Dazra, the Shattered Space DLC. And the UC has two of them, and those two are big, and the Crimson Fleet one seems to be quite large. I was a little uncomfortable doing that one since you deceive people on that, but it is a very big part of the game. So it's like a game of a bunch of DLCs put together. And the main story is just a way to get to New Game Plus. Let's see. I'm not sure if I should mention more. I guess I'll just leave it at that. It's a bunch of DLCs. Like a bunch of DLCs. Overall, I give that a grade B. Let's see. Now I'm going to rate the religions aspect of the game. Because they did mean to have religion in the game, and it's very obviously in the game. There's one quote by Todd Howard from a Washington Post article, June 13th, 2021, where he says, "When you look up in the sky, there is this drive to know. What is out there? Are we alone? What are the origins of space and time and all of those things? What role does religion play in some of that as well?" So we do get into some big questions. And then Polygon had an article August 28th, 2023, entitled "Starfield Design Director Emil Pagliarulo Says You May Find God in Its Space or Lose Faith." So, does the game live up to that? I would say no, it doesn't. I mean, there's things in there, obviously. I was personally really thrilled and amazed that they even bring up religion in the game. They do mention God. So you think, oh, they're going to talk about God. And there's a little bit of writings which are esoteric. But what you find out in the end isn't, like, really, I don't think, what you'd expect. And it doesn't really answer anything. Like I mentioned, the main story thing, it doesn't really answer anything kind of that you don't know already without going through the Unity. So it doesn't live up to the hype. I do have a video out already on the Enlightened and the Great Serpent religion, and then I'm putting out another one pretty soon on the Sanctum Universum by itself, because it can be pretty complicated. So there's that. If you want to know more, I'm gonna have that other one out. Um, but overall, I just now I'm giving the religion aspect a C. Okay, so the next thing is the lore, which I mean, I guess, by the world development, the history and social development information they have in there. They do give you a timeline outside of the game, and I can't remember how much. You'd have to pay attention more, I guess, to get the timeline in the game. And you start at 2330. The timeline seems fairly realistic. They had to build this whole thing up from the time the Earth, well, from before the time the Earth got destroyed until 2330. So it seems pretty realistic, except it seems really weird that there's these wars pretty quickly and that they used giant mechanized robots and genetically modified beasts. And you think, what are they doing? Because there's so many humans that got killed at the time that the Earth got destroyed. It's not like they saved everyone. So humanity is probably not doing that great population wise, really. And they have these giant wars using these just really stupid things. But it's like the Fallout theme, right? War never changes. But it's more like humans never change. That's what it seems like. Or like you could say, you can take humans out of Earth, but you can't take the Earth out of humans. The planet of original sin. Then there's the settlements, and they're kind of interesting. They have different social ideas at the different, representing different social ideas at the different settlements. So the UC is kind of communistic, with citizenship being earned after a lot of work. You aren't born being a citizen, you have to become like a member, like the CCP. And then the Freestar Collective represents freedom. It's like Texas. It's messy and a bit hypocritical. And Neon represents a corrupt state controlled like by a mafia type figure. I just want to comment on Aquila City. It drives me crazy because it's so dirty. It's a role playing game, right? I'm walking around and there's mud everywhere. And I'm like, what? They've been there for a long time now. They could have paved it. They could have done something, put a boardwalk in. And they don't. And the game doesn't show you getting mud all in the houses and buildings you walk in. It's just kind of strange. Sorry. I think Bethesda even changed something because there was a bunch of garbage in front of their movable garbage in front of the main building you walk in with the bar and where the law enforcement people are. And one time I just tried moving them out of the way there's actually a dumpster nearby. And I got like in trouble. I got like arrested or whatever you would call it. So that's funny. I think they took that out because I haven't seen that garbage there. It's just a bizarre way of doing things. Anyway, so there's some interesting things about these places. um, so I don't know. As far as the lore, I guess I will give it a B. Okay, now I'm going to talk about open world satisfaction. What the open world is like there in the game. The cities, as part of that, are just great. You can jump all over the roofs and everything like that. You can jump off the roofs, off the walls, wherever you want, into the world of the planets. There's no like wall there, invisible wall. So that's good. The planets themselves are awesome. I forgot to look up how many there are. There's a ton of them. There's like over 1,000 planets and moons. So one of the best things about the game, actually, I find, attributes of the game, are the sunrises and sunsets. Some of them are just absolutely stunning. So I play for it partly just for that reason. I really like the exploration and seeing those things. Let's see. Oh, also that if you're on a moon, and sometimes moons are just like a planet, with the environment, but if there's a giant planet next door, it's really cool looking too. Very neat looking. The sky. So some scenery isn't as great to me. They don't seem to hardly have any nice beaches. They tend to put all these bizarre, like ancient flora, seafloor remains on the beach, and a lot of times they're really hazy as well. So beaches aren't as cool. One thing that's a problem, I don't think it's supposed to be a problem. I don't know. Once in a while, you will run into an invisible wall on a planet. So I've done it a number of times where I'm trying to run to some feature I saw on the local regional map, and then I can't get there, so I wasted time doing that. Um, Also, there's a lot of pre-generated stuff. They added more, so there's always something if you feel like running into people, either friendly people or people to fight with. There are those things. One thing I find weird that I wish was in the game, it would just make it feel so much more immersive and real, is that on planets with breathable air that you would run into settlements, either current or ones that have been abandoned, that were built with local materials. Everything is built with prefab metal stuff and some kind of tent like material, but it's all prefab though. There isn't anything you find like little huts or little houses made out of stone or wood or whatever. And I think it's kind of sad. It's kind of weird. So I wish they had that in there. As far as outposts, you can build outposts. They're okay. It's something else to do in the game, but to me, they're almost useless. I don't kind of know. I don't know. The only thing you can do is make a bunch of materials to sell, like to the people that make ships. Or if you're just really into like making your own manufacturing parts and selling a lot of them, I don't know. It's just kind of bizarre. I think that's weird. It's not like Fallout 4, which people, once you start building all these settlements, other people start and they go, "Can I live here?" They move in. There's activity, like in a real world. There's activity, and you can also have travel caravans. What do you call it? Anyway, caravans between them, and that grows as your settlements grow in Fallout 4. So it's an active thing. It makes it much more like real. And that just doesn't happen at all in Starfield, whereas it actually could. I mean, there are settlers on planets, and they could have people stop by your outpost once in a while and say, "Can I join? Can I work for you?" or something. And they don't have it in the game, unfortunately. It would just make it feel more at home. You'd feel more at home, more real. So anyway, I'm going to give the open world thing and the outpost together a grade of B. Now, the next thing, weapons and fighting, I decided not to give a grade because I'm just not good. I don't think I'm qualified to rate weapons. Like some people on these reviews, they really get into the weapon design and how they shoot and just all kinds of stuff. And I just don't feel like I'm very qualified. Obviously, Bethesda has been making games a long time. The guns in the game, there's a big variety. It's in the future, so you have all kinds of different kind of weapons, and some are pretty fun. A lot of them seem a little useless. My son tells me that the designs are awful, and it drives him crazy. So there's that. I don't know. There's also fighting with the Starborn powers, which is really fun. It can be. There's some that I have a hard time even doing. There's some I haven't even ever done. There's a whole bunch of them. And I like that kind of thing. And the ones I use are lots of fun. I just remember Prey. And Prey, there's not as many. But it wasn't hard to figure out how to use every single one. And they were fun. They were quite fun. So yeah, it's a very interesting game as far as fighting goes. It's not like Dark Souls where you have parlaying or whatever. But there it is. I'm not going to grade it though. How about how they shoot or how they look, the weapons? We'll leave that as a mystery grade. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about, very briefly, about the leveling and perk system. This game is obviously meant to be played a long time. You can go through New Game Plus, more than 10 times. I guess 10 is supposed to be kind of this a limit in a way, or else you start getting weird stuff after that. But anyway, There are 5 perk trees, and altogether there are 82 perks. And each of those perks has 4 levels, so that's 328 levels. So if you were able to do all the stuff for the 4th level, because they're also like skill based in a way, you have to do so many things in order to move, to even be able to move on to the next level of a perk. And the last level of some of them are quite hard, I find. So you could actually theoretically have to be more than level 328 to get all the perks. But I'm level 139 right now, and I only have 18 all the way up to level 4. And there's 24 that I have no, you know, perk points in, because a lot of them seem sort of useless. It's going to be depending on how you play. Like, I've been playing on normal level all this time, and I found that I don't really need much or any of the combat ones, which is kind of funny. So I'm sure, I'm very sure that if I started playing hard, very hard, that I would want those perks leveled up in the combat skill. Um, Other ones are kind of, like I said, hard. Pickpocketing is hard because there are so many people walking around and you don't have that much opportunity. And sneak to me isn't as good as I would kind of like it in the game. So there are hard ones and there's useful ones, not as useful ones. But certainly with it taking up to 328, there's going to be things in there that you find are useful. Like diplomacy is incredibly useful to get it all the way up to level 4. So I guess what I'm going to do with this, because it does seem a little wonky, with how many things I'm like not seeming to care about at just a normal level, I'm going to give it a grade B. All right, now on to the replayability quality of this game. Well, it has New Game Plus, and it's kind of a neat way that they did it, I suppose, the way you get to New Game Plus. But if you don't do the main quest, you have an option to do the main quest over or not. If you don't do the main quest over, you miss out on a lot of content. And there's not like there's anything new added to replace it. So it depends. If you want to play all that content over, then it's pretty replayable, because like there's a couple of main quests especially that won't be there if you don't do the main quest, and your companions won't be there. They might be there, but it's not the same. Like in the main game, you can romance them if you want, or just be good friends. Either way, they have a lot of content to themselves. They have their own quest lines. So if you choose not to do the main story, the main quest, then you miss out on all that. So I don't know. To me, it seems really empty without doing the main quest. So I'd say no, kind of. Yes and no. Um, let's see. Some of the main quest lines to the side ones that I said are like DLCs, kind of, some more than others. I've replayed again. I hate to say, I'm not even going to admit how many hours I've played in this game. I have played a ton of hours. And I'm on my 6th playthrough, but it's not like I did everything in the previous one. For sure, I didn't play as long. I didn't do everything, but I needed to start a new game. Like, I actually forgot about the whole Sidonia thing. That's how memorable that whole quest line is. It's not too exciting. Um, as far as the replayability with the planets, that's interesting because they're pretty much different all the time. They have auto generation things. I'm sure some planets are going to be a certain way all the time, but they still change what's on them, and that's neat. But I think the planets do change as well, because when I played through the first time, I found this really bizarre planet that looked like it was for Halloween or something, or horror. It was creepy, okay, and I was very surprised. And my son saw it and he said he didn't like that. So it's kind of interesting. I haven't seen another environment like that. So it really depends. So as far as like the story goes, like what it means, like I already graded for an F for replayability. No, there's be like no reason you would play the game again for that. For the quest lines, it's kind of middling, and for adventuring, it's totally replayable. So it's really got a mixed bag there. So I'm gonna give it a B though, not like a C. I'm gonna totally give it a B because the stuff that it's good for, it seems quite good. So a B on replayability. I also want to give one last grade on what I call the fun stuff. I mean, the game's huge. There's stuff I haven't talked about. Um, like in the environment, there's Chunks food. It's hilarious. I love the Chunks eggs. This is so funny. So there's that. The Adoring Fan. If you haven't played the Adoring Fan, I really think you're missing out. He's, like I said, he's funny. Like, who wouldn't want humor in the game? He's quite funny and interesting. And the crafting and upgrading is pretty fun, I guess. It's nice to do. The shipbuilding takes a little getting used to, maybe a lot getting used to. But that's fun, I guess. It's nice. The starborn abilities are lots of fun. Flying your ship through asteroids is lots of fun. Using your jetpack in low gravity planets is lots of fun. And also the non gravity bubbles at Dazra, the Shattered Space DLC, they are very fun. So there's a lot of fun stuff, little fun things that make it nice, and I give that a grade A. Now, taken together, putting these grades all together, it comes out like between a B and a C for the whole game. And being the Bethesda fan that I am, I'm going to give it a B minus, like not a C plus. I have done, like I said, a ton of hours on this game. So B minus for right now. We'll see what supposedly, right? They should have a DLC out this year still. I certainly hope so. There's questionable, people are questioning what's going to go on with that. So they're going to do one. It's a matter of the time, I guess. To me, I want Bethesda to succeed as a studio. I like Bethesda games more than any other altogether. And it just seems like some of their stuff, aspects of what they do, goes downhill with each game. It's kind of sad. And so I would prefer that they do better. So I'm rooting for them. So we'll see. If another DLC comes out, I will put out a video about that, of course. So I want to thank you for being here and sticking with it. And would love if you liked and subscribed. As other YouTubers say, it does really help the channel. Anyway, so take care and see you in the next one.